Now, Ghana is passing up on an over $140 billion global industry. That's enough to fund the free SHS the president was talking about for the next 100 years. Research shows that over 164 million potential customers are available worldwide. If Ghana is able to tap into its already existing potential. I'm speaking of the commercial marijuana industry. Now, after a recent call by the CEO of the Ghana Standards Authority, Professor Alex Dodu, for Ghana to produce marijuana for export, the Rastafari Council of Ghana has also encouraged government to consider this call. Former UN Secretary General Kofi Annan and former head of the Narcotics Control Board, NACOP, Akwesi Sapong, have made similar calls. Let's first of all hear from an expert on drug use, Niam Eastwood.
What we really need to do is use evidence to show people that cannabis is less harmful than, say, tobacco or alcohol. And at the minute, cannabis is really the purvey of the criminal market. And so we have no control over it. So if children want to get their hands on it, all they need is some money to pay for it. And actually, if we change the law and we end criminal sanctions so that people feel that they can get support if they need it, and then explore whether we should regulate cannabis and whether we should put in age controls and product controls in order to protect people from the really harmful type of substances that are out there.
A few ideas there about regulating or regularizing the use of cannabis locally. Now, we have in the studios with us the chairman of the Advocacy Committee of the Rastafari Council of Ghana, Dan Pongo, who agrees with these eminent Ghanaians. Welcome, sir.
Thanks.
So, first of all, why should Ghana take part in this industry, especially since we already have revenue coming in from gold, oil, and cocoa?
Well, if you want to call gold and oil and cocoa, cocoa is the only one I would say it is also, natural as such as I would say. The rest are really destroying the environment. And with cannabis, it can protect the environment in so many ways. Apart from the economic aspect, our forests, which are being degrading, can also, recover from the, we can reforest our country, and we can have affordable housing for our workers and, homeless, before the economic, the money, So it is a very, lucrative industry, which Ghana shouldn't be left out. Already we are buying products from other countries, hemp products, and we are bringing it into the country legally. So why can't we produce those things ourselves, which is very easy to produce?
What are some of these hemp products?
We have this hair cream, which is 100% Indian hemp, which is in town. There's an alcoholic beverage called Joanna, which is also from South Africa, and so many other products, like clothing, which is coming into the country legally, it's being imported. So why don't we just, make the things ourselves here and use it for ourselves?
There's a fear of abuse because there are a lot of health risks associated with marijuana. And just a little reading I was doing before this, research shows that the side effects of using marijuana range from anxiety, paranoia, problems with attention, memory, and coordination. There's acute mental impairment. It explains why stoned drivers are twice as likely to crash their cars as unimpaired drivers. Of course, you are not talking about the use in terms of direct smoking, but if we are to legalize it and produce it locally, by all means, people would start using it,
Well, for the past maybe 60-something or 70 years, which Ghana is in existence, people have been smoking weed, even before Ghana's independence, So whether this law, whether it is liberalized or not, people will still continue smoking. But if you check statistics, countries that are liberal or who have liberalized the use of marijuana have less experimentation of new users, or a less number of new users than countries which are very strict on it, So according to statistics, countries that when you free up the herb, it makes people not too much anxious to go and see why this thing is being prohibited. So it makes them to rather lose it. But at the same time, there are some of these facts you bring out, or some of this information you bring out here are not really factually true, because marijuana has no side effect.
Really?
Yes.
There are a lot of side effects that have been documented. Research has shown that, for instance, the number of people seeking professional help to quit or control their cannabis habits has risen in the past 20 years in Europe, US, and Australia. Only alcohol and tobacco lead more people into treatment. People in withdrawal can experience anxiety, insomnia, depression.
It is not true. Herb users don't have any, you don't have any withdrawal, or you don't need any help if you want to stop smoking herb. You don't need any help at all. It doesn't give you no illness. And if you check the LD50 of marijuana, it is very astronomical. When I say LD50, that's the lethal dose. In medicine, anything below 50 is dangerous. But when they test it and it's above 50, that means it is less toxic. And marijuana will be like maybe 250 times above 50. You understand me? So it can never be.
So you are disputing research that has been,
there are so
out
many
over
other
the years.
researches too.
This is over 20 years. This is a careful study that has been taken over 20 years.
The most recent studies on marijuana came from Dr. Sanjay Gupta, who is the medical correspondent of CNN.
CNN, yeah.
And you can go and refer to his documentary called Weed. You understand me? They even tested people who smoke weed. They took them to a brain specialist and tested their brain on the computer, and you see what happens. Even when you smoke marijuana, it enlarges your brain. And people with big brains are more intelligent.
So weed makes people more intelligent.
Very true.
But again, how do we grow something like this into an industry? You are speaking of us being able to process it into products that can be sold on the international markets.
Even locally.
Or the local markets.
Yes.
I mean, do we have the readiness? Do we have investors ready? Can we really take advantage of taking a plant like this and turning it into a product?
Well, right now we don't need investors. Especially, we are not calling for external investors or multinationals to come and take over this business. The peasant farmers who were suffering already the persecution of this drug or this plant, they should be the people who should benefit from this call that the doctor is making. So we don't expect multinationals to come and invest. But so far, the ones growing around already, or people who know how to grow it, can feed the market with it. And you don't need too much to grow marijuana, unlike cotton, whereby you need to use insecticide. You don't need insecticide on marijuana. Even cocoa, you need to use insecticide. And those insecticides wash back into our water bodies and then contaminate our water bodies. Marijuana does not need any of those. And when you plant marijuana somewhere, an arid land which is not fertile again, and you plant marijuana for 2 years, any plant you plant there will grow more than even using fertilizer.
But again, if we just allow peasants, farmers to grow it anywhere, the risk of abuse is higher, isn't it?
I don't see how you can abuse marijuana. Before you can abuse marijuana, before you can take an overdose of marijuana, you need to smoke 15,000 joints in 20 minutes. And you can't even smoke one joint in 20 minutes.
That's according to?
Oh, according to science. You know, all these things I'm saying are scientific facts. You know, it's not like opinion.
I wish you could tell me the persons who carried out this research.
Okay, you can check Dr. Greenspoon. You know, Professor Greenspoon. You can also check Sanjay Gupta, as I'm saying, and I can't remember the names of the doctors, but you just Google cannabis science, you know, and read about cannabis, you know.
That it's very beneficial. But you see,
we have doctors from Israel, from Canada, from Spain, from America, who have made this research. They came together and made the research and realized how, you know, useful and how less dangerous or harmful marijuana is to humans, and not that it is only less harmful, it also protects you from certain ailments.
Ailments
like lungs cancer. You understand? People who smoke marijuana heavily, the THC, the tetrahydrocannabinol, which is in marijuana, melts the dead blood cells, which would have turned to cancer. Also in the brain, we have something called the blood-brain barrier. Blood that does not enter the brain because it will carry contaminants into the brain. So when we read the barrier, nothing can penetrate that barrier except tetrahydrocannabinol because of its fat-soluble nature. So any disease inside the brain, the most simplest way to treat it is to use tetrahydrocannabinol.
Okay, let's finish up on the economic aspect.
Okay.
We keep going between economics and health, but that's the nature of the plants we are talking about. There are so many avenues there for Ghana to make money, so many industries that Ghana could take part of. Why marijuana in particular? Because
marijuana is the uses of marijuana is very vast. You know, you have more than 250 products you can get out of marijuana. As I'm saying, your studio, if you want to insulate your studio and you use the fiber of marijuana, there's no moisture that will come into the studio. You understand me? If you build a house with marijuana or hemp plant, for the next 20 years, it will be absorbing the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. You understand me? Now, if you can plant marijuana within like 6 months, the most, and you harvest, and then you plant any other plant, even trees on the land, and it will regrow for you. Meanwhile, you don't need to be cutting down trees to make paper or lumber to build houses. You can get all this from marijuana plants. You know, you can get edible oil full of protein from the seeds. You understand me? So I don't see why we shouldn't use this, God-gifted plant, which has something within it that every human being has, which is the cannabinol. There's cannabinol in every human being, whether you like it or not. We are all fundamentally wired with marijuana already. Go and check the endocannabinoid system.
So your statement is that every human being has
animals, sea vertebrae, they all have the endocannabinoid system.
Which part of the body is it in?
It's in the brain, mainly. It's in the brain. You know, there are receptors in the brain which connect this, the THC and another one called CBD, cannabidiol, and tetrahydrocannabinol. Now, when the tetrahydrocannabinol is carrying you too high, when you take it, the cannabidiol is created in a way that God created a plant that the cannabidiol tells the tetrahydrocannabinol, you are going too high, so just stay on this limit, you know.
So this research, you have taken us into a lot of scientific research, but what has been found about acute mental impairment, about insomnia, depression, anxiety, you say you do not believe this science, these facts that have been...
These are prohibitionist theories. These are people, when Aslinger and co decided to fight against the freeness or the decriminalization of marijuana, these are the theories they brought out. They made scientists lock monkeys in a small room and then they bombed them with ganja smoke, marijuana smoke. And then...
Actually, with some of these that we are talking about, it wasn't carried out on monkeys. What they did, for instance, when they were finding out why stoned drivers are twice as likely to crash their cars than unimpaired drivers, they tested it on humans.
If you go to Canadian Senate, when they were working on their document to legalize marijuana or decriminalize marijuana in Canada, they experimented on so many different kinds of people. You understand me? What they discovered was that the people who drive under the influence of marijuana are more careful in driving because they don't overspeed, and they always make sure that they are in tune. You understand me?
Right. Let's have your final words, Kex.
Well, my final words is that we can make a lot of money out of this, and there is no health risks, attached to marijuana. Marijuana is the only
according
plant.
to you.
No, according to science, marijuana is the only plant you can give to somebody, or medicine you can give to somebody without worrying about any effects.
But you know, science is not specific. It's not accurate in itself. Anything that has been proven today can be disproved tomorrow. So if you have a set of facts that disagree with another set of facts, you can't discount the other set of facts totally. That's the only point I'm making.
Well, for now, if you were to tell me this is the nature of or what we are coming, I would have prepared more to come and really disprove these people.
Well, you brought it up.
You know,
anyway.
so
you brought it up.
Okay.
Anyway. Thank you very much, Kex Pongo, for your time. He's the chairman of the advocacy committee for the Rastafari Council of Ghana. Well, the decision is yours really to make up your mind about this.